Hello everyone, welcome to the session of Object-Oriented Programming through Java. Myself Navya, I'm an assistant professor of CSIT department and in MLR Institution of Technology. Today we are going to discuss data types, variables in Java and a simple Java program. So, what we are discussing today is data types, what data types which are available in basic data types in Java and what are the variables and how you are going to declare the variables in Java and a simple Java program. We are going to execute a simple Java program. So, coming to the data types in Java. So, initially in Java, we are having two types of data types. One is primitive data type, and other one is non-primitive data types. In primitive data types, again you will have the non-numeric data types and numeric data types. So, in numeric data types, in non-numeric data types, the character and the boolean are the two data types which we have seen in C also. So, here also you will have the character data type. In integer, again you undergo with byte, short, long, int. Whereas for the float data type, floating, you will have the float and double. And coming to the non-primitive data types, the classes, the built-in classes which you are having in the Java library are said to be non-primitive data types like the string, arrays and the user-defined classes. So, what are the user-defined classes? That all will comes under non-primitive data types. So, coming to the primitive data types. So, I have discussed this is an integer data types which is byte, which you can accept the whole numbers and the memory size is 1 byte and the range is from minus 128 to plus 127 and the default value inbuilt it will taken as 0. Whereas short, it holds 2 bytes of memory and the range is minus 32 768 to 32 767 and the default value is 0. And the integer can hold 4 bytes of memory and the range is this as well as the default value is 0. And the long will be double of integer which is it can hold 8 bytes of memory and the values you can give till here. This is the range of long and the value is 0L. And these two comes under floating point. Floating point, float, which can hold 4 bytes of memory like decimal values and the default value is 0.0F. Whereas double is can hold 8 bytes of memory and the default value is 0.0D. And these are non-numeric data types. So, character is in data type you have to write with char and it can hold a single character. So, it is of 2 bytes. It can hold 2 bytes of memory and the range is 0 to 65,535 and the default value is unsigned of 4 zeros. Okay, next boolean value. It is an unsigned character and it can contains only one bit, either 1 or 0. The value is 0. So, the default value you will have for the boolean is false, which is 0. Then, non-primitive data types. So, non-primitive data types are reference we will call as user-defined data types or user-created data types or reference data types. These are called as non-primitive data types. All non-primitive data types are implemented using object concepts. Okay. So, every variable of a non-primitive data type is object. And the non-primitive data types that use additional methods to perform certain operations. So, what will be the default value? The default value will be a null value in case of non-primitive data types. So, some examples of non-primitive data types are string, array, list, queue, stacks, class as well as interface. These all are the non-primitive data types. So, the classes, interfaces, strings, arrays, queue, list, array, string, these all are the non-primitive data types. This all comes under non-primitive data types. Coming to the difference between non-primitive and primitive data types. So, these are built-in data types and we will use the basic data types. Okay, and these are created by the users. and this is inbuilt, you will get from the Java virtual machine, or whenever you install the Java software, you will get these are the built-in data types which are already there. And it does not support additional methods, and it supports additional methods, and always it has a value and it can be null. Okay, and it starts with a lowercase letter and it starts with the uppercase letter, and the size depend is on data type, and same size 5 differences for between the primitive data type and the non-primitive data type. Coming to the variables, what are the variables you have? There are 4 types of variables in Java. One is local variable. What are the local variable? Local variables are the variables whenever you declare in a particular method or a block, those type of variables are known as local variables. Okay, and the scope of this variables will be within that method only. Its lifetime is in between the particular blocks or particular method. Okay, so what are local variables? The local variables are declared inside a method or a block is known as local variables. Before going to this, what is a variable? Variable is a container which can store a value. For example, if I am declaring, you already know we are declaring some in C language, isn't it? So the prerequisites of this language is C language. So if you go on through C language, then it would be very easier to learn Java. So what is a variable? Variable is a container which is used to store some value in it. Okay, for example, we are the persons, we are the human beings, right? So am I human being, right? Everyone is human being. Then what was the difference? All are having the same eyes, nose and mouth and everything, right? But how can I identify you? I can identify you using your name, isn't it? It's a unique number, unique name, or it might be unique name. If you are a student, you will have a unique roll number. So that unique roll number is the person. For example, if who is Navya? Navya is a human. So I am having my name. How I am having my name? In the same way, in order to store some value, we are declaring a name. So that is variable. Okay. So whenever you declare this variable in particular method or block, then this variable is said to be a local variable. Okay. So it is visible within that particular method which is declared. So it will be available, its lifetime is in between these blocks only. Okay, so the local variables created when execution control enters into the method or block and destroyed after the execution is completed. Whenever the control enter into this will be created. This variable is created. Whenever the control executed all the statements and it come out of this block, whatever the variable you have created, that will be destroyed here. Okay, so next variables are instance variables, or you can call it as member variables or global variables. So whenever you declare a variable inside a class and outside a method, so this variable is known as instant variable or member variables or global variables. So for example, if I am declaring a class with some x, here I am declaring so here this is called as instance variable or member variable of particular class. If it is inside the class but outside the method, it is known as instance variable, or you can call it as member variable, and the lifetime of this variable will be up to particular class is alive. Whenever you execute a particular class, that would be the lifetime of that particular variable. Okay, so what is a variable? These variables are declared inside a class and outside any method, constructor or a block. Okay, so where these are visible to all the methods of the class. So you can use this A in every method. Okay, and the changes made of these variables by method affects all the methods in. If I am taking some A equals to some 5 here, if I am using another function here, if I am using x here, the x a value will change accordingly. Okay, so these variables are created separate copy of every object of that. So these are the two variables, and the next two variables are static variables, or you can call it as class variables. So what are static variables? Static variables are the variables whenever you declare a variable with a keyword called static. Okay, so those type of variables are called as static variables. So later on we are going to discuss in the further classes what is a static variable and how you use a keyword called static. So it's a rough idea of static variables or classic variables. So we will declare static variable using static keyword which I mentioned here. Now the instance variables can be a static variable, which is the global variables you are declared, that could be a static variable. So you can declare the static variable there. But in local, whenever you are variable which is declared in the method, that could not be static. Okay, and the static variable can be initialized only once at the start of the program execution. Okay, so the static variable only has one copy per class, irrespective how many objects you create. This value, this variable will be only one. Okay, so the static variable can be accessed directly using the class name. The fourth type of variables are final variables. What are final variables? The same thing, a variable which is declared using final keyword is known as final variable. A variable is declared with a final keyword is known as final variable. Okay, so the final variable is initialized once, which is same as static variable, but what is the difference between the static and final is this one, and it does not allow any method to change the value again. The best example is it is already known as you can have whenever you want to declare a constant value which the value never changes, that could be taken as a final variable. For example, the pi values. What is the value of pi? 3.1437 like this and so on, isn't it? So which is never changed. So this particular you can go with the final float pi, you can declare like this, and all variables. Here another difference between the static variables and final variables is the static variables cannot be taken for local variables. You cannot declare a local variable as a static variable, but here a final variable can be a local variable or instance variable or static variable. So a local variable can also taken as final variable, and the instance variable also can taken as final variable, and static variables also can be converted into the final variables. This is the only difference between the static variables and final variables. And what are the four variables you have seen is member variables, local variables, static variables as well as final variables. So see here, this is an example. So int x comma y I have declared in class, so it's an instance variable. Okay, if I am declaring the same variable int z and I am using static keyword, so it became a static variable. When I final, it became a final variable. And whereas whenever I declare a variable within a function in between this block, so it's a local variable. And here which I said, I have declared a equals to 10. When I want to change it in the method, so it will return you an error here. So this is a variable. Next, coming to Java classes. So in order to go for the simple Java program, we have to learn how to create a class and how to create an object and how you are going to run a simple Java program, right? So in order to go that, you are going to Java classes. So what is Java class? Java is an object oriented programming language which we have seen in the previous classes also, right? So everything in Java program must be based on the object concept. Okay, we have seen class and object concept. What is a class then? Class is a skeleton of an object, or you can say the blueprint of an object, or you can say once a class got generated, we can generate many number of objects as we want. So what class consists of? It consists of the properties and behaviors of an object, or properties and member variables and member functions in a particular class. So the concept is called as encapsulation, right? We have seen in the last class. So here in every class of Java programming has the following characteristics. So identity. So what is an identity? You have to give a name for the class. So every person has a name, right? In the same way, every class should have a name. So next state. So represent the data values associated with a particular object. So we will represent it as a state. And the third one is behavior. So the actions performed by particular object, we represent it as a behavior. So what is behavior? It represents actions can be performed by an object. Okay. So class, see here, vehicle is a class. What vehicle consists of? It consists of number of vehicles, and it has a brand name and color and price, and it has two methods called start and change gear. In every vehicle you can change the gear and you can start, isn't it? So those are the behaviors, and whereas these are the variables, isn't it? Vehicle is in blueprint, isn't it? So I am creating particular objects. What are these objects? Vehicle, car equals to new vehicle. So this is a way of creating objects, and this is a way of creating a class. Okay. So car is an object. So car is a vehicle, right? Bike is also a vehicle, right? And truck is also a vehicle, right? Isn't it? So I am creating new objects. These are the objects. This is a blueprint of those vehicles. So car has 4 wheels. The number of vehicles has been changed here. And the brand, it might be a Maruti, and color it might be a red. So, and price, it might be some 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs, like that. Whereas how you are going to start a car and how to change the gear. Okay, it has separate segregate methods. And bike has only 2 wheels. When compare these two, the object, you are having the blueprint as same. So the class is same for all the vehicles, whereas the preferences on properties will get changed. So okay, the bike, you will have 2 wheels, and what will be the brand name? It might be a Pulsar, and it might be any color, black, white, like that. And the price of the vehicle will be always less than the car. And how you are going to start and how you are going to change in case of bike. And the truck is also a blueprint of vehicle. Truck also having wheels, so it has 4 wheels. And what is brand name and color? What was the price? So it all differs from one object to another object. Clear? So how you are going to create a class? So class is a keyword which is used to create a class. Here C is a small. Keywords will always be in a small letters. Okay. So the class in Java consists of properties as variables and behaviors as methods. So variables are nothing but properties and behaviors are nothing but methods here. So here is the syntax. So you have to go with class name, and data members declaration, and methods definition. And see here, we are having while creating a class, we are having some rules. What are the rules? The class name must begin with an alphabet, and that should be uppercase letter is preferred. Okay, and class name must follow all naming rules. What is the naming rule? So already we have seen the variable naming rules, right? So you should not start with 1, and you should not use the except underscore. You should not use any of the special characters, and for example, you can have underscore, you can have, and you should not start with this, and you should not start with this, isn't it? So here also the class name, if I'm having, for example, if I'm writing a program for sum of individual digits, so my class name should be S should be caps. Each word, the first letter should be capital. Okay, sum of individual digits. So this should be the class name. So every word, the first letter should be capital when you are creating a new class. Okay. So how you are going to create an object? I already said you. If a class is a blueprint of object, instance of a class is an object. So class is said to be an instance of object is said to be class, instance of a class. So whenever you are creating an object to a particular class, the memory will be allocated, and it is said to be instantiation. Okay, all the objects that are created using single class have the same properties and same methods. So if I'm going with one class, and I'm creating different objects, you can use different objects can use all the same methods which are using for the particular class. So, but the value of properties and is differed for every object. The value might differ. So, this is a syntax how you are going to create a new object. Okay, class name space object name equals to new class name and followed by 2 parentheses. So, this is the name of the class. This is, you are creating the new object, right? Object name and new is a keyword which will create a new instance. Okay, this is a keyword, and class name followed by open and close parenthesis. It is constructor. Constructor you already learn in C++, right? What is a constructor? Constructor will have the same, is a method which have the same name as a class name followed by open and close parenthesis. It might be a parameterized or non-parameterized. This method main agenda is to initialize the variables which are declared in a particular class. The same thing, whenever you are creating an object to the particular class name, what are the values what are the variables you have declared in the particular class, that would be initialized using this constructor. Okay, so the object name preferences, the object name must be starting with alphabets and always a lowercase letter. For example, I was creating a class name, for example, for Hello World. I think Hello World is a class I have preferred already. So, HELLO equals to new Hello World. Okay, so object name must follow the naming rules which I have mentioned before. So, Java variables, which how you are declaring a Java variable is this one. I already said you, right? Oh, shit. We have seen all these variables here. So, now coming to the simple Java programming. So, how you are going to have a simple Java programming. So, these are the steps. Java import java.lang.packages. This package consists of n number of methods which are stored in Java library, which if you want to use it ready-madely, so we are going to use this, and class Hello World is the name of the class. Okay, so public static void main is a method. Main method is a method name which is a starting point of execution. How you are having in C also, here also the main method is a starting point of execution here. So, public is nothing but it's an access specifier. So, it is visible to everyone. Okay, static is a keyword which is which we can say it's a fixed method, and void is a return time, it returns nothing. And whereas string arguments, everything you are giving as an arguments in the command line will be taken as a string format. Okay, so here system.out.println hello world. So I just want to print hello world simply. So why you are using this method? So println is a method name. Okay, so where it consists of, it is in out, we are accessing this method using out object, which is an object of java.lang.system, whereas system is in it's a method in print string out is an object of print stream. System is whatever the you want to print outputs and inputs are there in system class. So the system dot out is an object of print stream class, and this is system is available in java.lang package. Okay, and out print stream class object is outstream, and whatever you are giving in the double quotation, that would be printing as as a mirror image on this. So here what we have discussed in this class is variables. So you are having 4 types of variables. One is local variables, member or global or instance variables. And the third variable is static variables and final variables. Okay, and we have seen data types. How many types of data types are there? Primitive data types, which is there in the Java library, and non-primitive data types are objects or the classes which are user defined or built-in classes. So these are non-primitive data types. Primitive data types, in primitive data types you will get integer type of data types, floating types of data types, and non-numeric data types. And next we have seen how you are going to create a new class, how you are going to create an object and a simple Java program.